It's so cold outside that there's ice on the inside of my windows. Like lots of it. With the new year comes a Goodreads wrap-up / 2014 goals video. I did the same exact one last year. And I actually rewatched it recently just to see if I had said anything weird for myself that I had completely forgotten about, and I didn't. So I'll start with my 2013 wrap-up. How did I do? I actually set a goal of reading 30 books for myself, and then pretty soon after I posted that video, realized I was getting through a couple books really quickly. I was reading the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels, so they were taking like 3 seconds to read, and so I upped it to 35, and then eventually I upped it to 40 books, and in the last few days of the year, I actually ended up passing 40 books and ended up reading a total of 43 books this year. So yeah, definitely undershot with the 30 thing. I mean, I was a little worried about going abroad and how much I'd actually have time, you know, for reading, but I definitely found time, so it worked out well for me. Other than that, I had no other goals for myself. That being said, I figured I'd share with you my top 5 favorite books that I read last year, and these are actually in relatively like a top 5 order. I mean, the first book is definitely my favorite, and you know, the other 4 are pretty much close. You know, it's really hard to decide like, oh, is this one really one step better than the other ones, but these ones are definitely top 5, no issue. The 5th one, number 5, is A Dance with Dragons by George R.R. Martin. I read this one in like July of this year, or last year now, and it was my second favorite in the series. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens that I didn't know was going to happen because obviously the TV show hasn't gotten to this point yet, and a lot of cliffhangers, a lot of things I've wanted, you know more about, so definitely top 5, number 5. 4th is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I read this right at the beginning of the year in January and absolutely loved it. Was blown away by how awesome and creepy and disturbing it was. I read it in one sitting on a train, so perfect time for reading. And this definitely made me excited to pick up her other books that she's written. I did a review on this book and had more time to gush about it then, but number 4. Number 3 is a little difficult, so I'll definitely try and get this in the picture, but you've seen it a bunch of times. I love this book, and that's Harry Potter Page to Screen, because I actually did finish it in 1 year. I started in January and then finished the book like a couple weeks ago as part of the booktubeathon, so yay. Lots of pages. I mean, there's a fair amount of like picture-y things, and then you know, there's a little bit of words there, but I read all of that stuff, and just if you are any sort of Harry Potter fan, you have to pick up this book because there is so much extra stuff and so many little stories, and it's just broken up so well, with the first part kind of breaking down the 8 movies, and then going into the characters and how they came up with the clothes, and going into how they made the wands for specific characters, the sets, how they developed the creatures. It's just extremely detailed. Like, this is the be-all end-all of the Harry Potter movie compendium thing and understanding how those movies were made. 2nd is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I read this right as the movie was coming out and did a book-to-movie comparison. This was actually the 2nd time I read the book, and I enjoyed it more this time, probably because I wasn't reading it for school. I think it also helped that I was reading the really awesome Modern Classics version, but I just really took my time with it and tried to soak everything in, and I felt like I appreciated it so much more, and just, oh, it's such a good book. Some people read it, kind of get the wrong ideas from it, but I tried really hard to sort of read into all those little things Fitzgerald was trying to say, and it really resonated with me. And then lastly, I feel like if you have, you know, watched most of my videos, you probably already know this because I've mentioned it a few different times, but how much I loved it. But my favorite book that I read in all of 2013 was Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. I read this in March of the year, so I kind of had 9 more months to go for everything to live up to this book, and nothing ever quite did it for me. Nothing pulled me in, broke my heart in two, made me, you know, not want to put it down at all. It was unputdownable, which is apparently a thing that people can use to review books now. It's just, oh, it was so brilliant. Like, the fact that this is a non-fiction story about the 1996 Mount Everest disaster is interesting enough, but then the way that Jon Krakauer writes these characters and the fact that he was there and he experienced it himself just makes it, oh, it's so good. I did a review of this, so if you feel like hearing me gush more about this one as well, then you can go looking for that one. If you're kind of stuck in your fiction and you're looking for a really good entry into nonfiction, pick this up. It's gonna grab you, it's gonna keep you interested, because it's really hard to believe that this is a nonfiction story. So that wraps up my top 5. If you have a top 5, feel free to leave them in the comments below, but onward to 2014. Many of you have spotted on Goodreads, I already set my goal for this year and I'm going back up to that goal of reading 50 books. I honestly have no idea where my life is going to go after graduation in June. I'm planning on graduating then. I don't know what job I'm gonna have, where I'm gonna be, but I still feel like I'll manage to pull out 50, so I put myself there. Could have been a little hesitant and done a bit less, but I really want to push myself. I also really want to work on my TBR pile. I mean, I can't keep myself from buying books. I definitely don't buy them as much as some other people do. So I'm kind of hoping to really push through my TBR pile. I'm looking forward to the booktubeathon this summer as a way to, like, you know, push through a bunch of books that maybe I'm not so eager to pick up all the time. I just want to bring that TBR pile down so I can fill it up with other books that I'm also really interested in reading. If you guys have any 2014 goals, feel free to share them down below. I'd love to hear what you're challenging yourself to do this upcoming year. As always, feel free to check out the links in the doobly-doo. They're all there. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.